Hi, I'm Sean Boncho.
And I'm Emily Boncho.
And we've been married almost 10 years. We have 5 children, and we've been attending the home church for almost 2 years.
We originally met at a bonfire.
Neither of us grew up in Christian households. Shortly after we were dating for probably around 6 months, Emily actually moved in with me.
So we started going to church after my coworkers had invited us.
But after we were saved, we decided that we wanted to get married and we wanted to kind of do the right thing, and it actually upset most of both of our families because they felt like that we were moving far too quickly. But
soon a baby came.
Soon after that, then we got pregnant with Veritalia, and I was really scared. It was one of the things that we were taught was kind of like everything goes in like a certain order of things. You go to school and you graduate and you get a job and you have a career and you get settled in your career, and then you get married and then you have kids. And the only thing I've done so far on that list was get married. So I felt like I was gonna fully ruin our kids' lives. It actually ended up being an awesome experience and just showing how God can take care of you. And then right after Veritalia was born, we got pregnant with Aurora pretty quickly after.
Super big surprise.
And she was a surprise.
I actually never wanted children. I grew up in, no one in my family stayed married. Drugs, alcohol, violence. So for me, it just wasn't really something that I wanted to repeat. Before Ezra came, we had two, and but we felt like we were done at that point, and God was not done. Well, some friends of mine had been talking about the Duggar family, and someone had mentioned like, oh, they have 18 kids, and I remember thinking like, oh, whoa, like something's wrong with this lady. So I remember right before we were going to get rid of the TV, being like, oh, let me watch these Duggars. Okay. In everything that they did, they wanted to glorify God, and
asking in different situations, like asking God what they should do, and referencing their Bible of what does the Bible say about this situation. And it was kind of like the first times we'd ever seen a glimpse of that's how a family should act.
So seeing the Duggars at the same time having the issues with our birth control, we were watching it and we just kind of kept getting that feeling that the Lord wanted us to trust Him with the number of children that we were going to have, and that was like a really brand new concept.
Inside of our church that we were attending, that was a very strange decision to make. We started kind of not quite fitting in as well. We had gotten kind of like a finer filter on what we were allowing into our household, and
and
be aware of what media that you're consuming, be aware of what you're listening to, because it can affect your attitude and your spiritual health.
There was a pastoral change that happened during that time, and so the church was changing a lot as well as we were changing a lot.
They didn't quite feel right with us. We would read our Bible and meditate on the Word and see what does God's Word say about it, and it was kind of sometimes telling us that this isn't, like, these things aren't quite right.
There were quite a few red flags that started popping up.
Their main
focus was on fun. That was the number one thing for them. They wanted the kids to have fun, and biblical discipleship came second. And I felt like it should be the other way around. I guess you could say kind of the final straw happened, and that was Easter 2018. Lots of people came, and his goal was for lots of people to come and to stay. And so he told them, I think, what he thought they wanted to hear. And I remember going home and just like wanting to cry and being so sad because no one heard the gospel. He just kept talking about how God's going to do something amazing in your life. He's going to take you from here to here. And I kept thinking, I mean, it's Resurrection Sunday. Like, what about what God already did for you? So that was when we made the firm decision to find a new church.
Which by that time we had already been attending that church for almost 10 years, so it was really hard decision.
really a hard decision. So we specifically looked at Baptist churches, and there was a couple in town, and we tested them out. And for me, what drew us to the home church initially was looking at the website, and there was so much emphasis put on those children's classrooms.
We're supposed to be set apart, really, and that a lot of other churches kind of dive into those worldly things a little too much, where you can't really tell the difference anymore. And you can at the home church. You can tell the difference. You go in there and you look around and you look at the children in the church. You can look at the families, the generations of families that fathers going to the church, and then the sons going to the church with their wife, and then their children are going to the church. And that's being a first time, like the first Christians in our family. That's what I want for my family. I want the generational legacy of we're Christ followers, and my children are Christ followers, and we do what we do for the Lord.
It really, for me, it ended up setting it in stone that this was our home, because we volunteered for Freedom Fest, and I remember taking the kids to go to the bathroom, and Pastor Tim, in front of all those people, he gave them all the gospel, and it still makes me cry. I remember just crying there, because I said, that's a pastor I can get behind, that's a pastor whose vision I can support, because he's not worried about looking cool, he's not
worried about trying to get people in the pews and then I'll give them the message. I'm trying to get them in the pews and then I'm going to tell them about Jesus. He's like, they're here, and I'm going to take this opportunity to tell them about Christ.
Yeah.
And
that was so important. So here we are.